What's going on, guys? It's Tim here from Advanced Agent Marketing. I have a very special guest. This is another case study, Dan Levingood. This one's a little bit different than Johnny. Dan runs his business a little bit differently. Normally, what Julian and I always push is like do telesales, Facebook leads on telesales. But Dan actually does face to face, but is still like freaking killing it. So I wanted to bring him on, just have him kind of talk about his experience. We could probably learn quite a bit from his sales process. His closing percentage is abnormally high. I don't know if he's like twisting people's arms or bringing a gun to the door and holding it to their head, but he's getting people to say yes at a higher clip than most anybody that I've ever seen. So I wanted to bring him on here, ask him, a few questions about how everything's been going with us, his numbers. We're going to break down the profits and everything of how his numbers since he's been starting the program with us. And then I want to ask him a little bit about his sales process, his door knocking approach. This guy's a stud door knocker, so I think there's a lot that we can learn here. But first of all, Dan, introduce yourself. Tell the audience a little bit about you and how you got into the business.
Yep, thank you. So I'm Dan Levingood. I'm out of Akron, Ohio. Like Tim said, I focus on face-to-face. I've been selling final expense since 2019. Really kind of got started in spring of 2020. Got my license end of 19. Kind of decided where I wanted to work, who I wanted to work with spring of 2020. Have kind of done it full-time, part-time since then. Right now I'm doing it full-time and really kind of do it because I enjoy helping people. Was part of corporate America for 25 years, supply chain management. If anybody's watching the news these days, supply chain is nothing but a major headache. So helping people and being able to make a living at the same time is a great opportunity. So since I started in the business, I've used both direct mail and Facebook leads. Have always found, high intent with both types of leads, quite honestly. I know historically some folks say if you're face to face, you got to go this direction or that direction. And honestly, I've had success with both. So, when the opportunity arose to kind of partner with you guys and start creating my own leads at a much lower cost, it was super attractive and we've been doing great ever since then.
Yeah, dude, a couple things to unpack there. You said you started in spring of 2020. Couldn't think of a worse time to start this business, but you're still killing it.
Right. Yeah. So when I started, I was taking my own bench, like my own little stool, into people's houses.
Oh my
And if
God.
you remember at the very beginning of that, I mean, people didn't know what the hell to make out of it, right?
Yeah.
So I was wearing a mask into the houses. In some
Yep.
cases, I was wearing gloves. I was taking my own stool to sit in. And so yeah, it was a super crazy time. And it's been really interesting to see how different folks reacted to that, situation.
100%. We started in like 2021, but there was not a crazier time than spring of 2020.
Yep.
I didn't even know that. That's wild. But
Yep.
also there was something else you mentioned there about running Facebook leads. Did you mention that the premium was higher? Because I remember when we first had a conversation, you had showed me a case study basically that you did
Mm-hmm.
of 200 policies, and you had basically broken down. And most people don't track their numbers like this, so props to you for that. You said direct mail leads, Facebook leads, average premium, and the Facebook leads were about 20% higher than the direct mail leads. It was like 81 versus 60. I still
Yep.
remember the numbers because they blew my mind that you had
Yep.
all that data. And we've
Yep.
used that so many times since.
Mm-hmm.
But walk me through that a little bit because I think like you said, a lot of people get hung up on I need to run direct mail if I'm doing face
Mm-hmm.
to face, or I need to
Mm-hmm.
do Facebook leads if I'm doing telesales. And it's like it's
Yeah.
not it's not a one size fits all.
No, it's definitely not. And honestly, I think, our approach, to how you manage your leads. And I was taught as soon as I got into the business to try to do my best to resolve every lead.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm able to, sometimes I'm not, but that's my goal every time I get a batch of leads. And, your numbers are correct. I did go back from the time I started because at the beginning I was doing both. I had a 50-50 mix of Facebook and direct mail. And then I kind of got away from Facebook and went direct mail for a while. Then I kind of came back. And so yeah, the average premiums are definitely higher, for the Facebook leads, and not sure if there's a rhyme or a reason to it, but it's true. And so when you combine that with the fact that we can start generating them on our own for much less, it's
Yeah.
just an absolute no-brainer.
Yeah, 100%. And I think we started talking in mid to late September, I believe it was.
Yep.
And so I know we initially did the setup. We did it with photo ads, and you
Mhm.
saw a pretty good ROI. I believe I know you had texted me that it was like $1,000 in lead spend or something like that,
It was
and it was like
4 to 1 at that time.
4 to 1 at that time. Okay.
Yep.
And then you kind of took a pause for, what was it, a month or two or a month and a half?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yep. Yep.
And then we came back, we got you in the mastermind, we did a round of video ads. And this is where things got crazy.
Mhm.
This is where things got really crazy. So
Yep.
when the video ads first started, and we did 3 different iterations of the video, what we found is the shorter video, just knocked the other two out of the park.
Yep.
But the first few days of it, we kind of saw like, Facebook was still optimizing. It was like one or
Mhm.
two for $20 a day, $12 a day. It was pretty
Yep.
inconsistent. And then all of a sudden, I think it was this week,
Mhm.
something changed, and kind of walk me through what it looked like on your end, because you were starting to get back in. You were
Yep.
like, hey, I need leads coming in
Yep.
now. Facebook's giving
Yep.
me a hard time with the spin limits. And then all of a sudden, whatever day it was, kind of walk me through what that day looked like from your end.
Yeah. Yeah. So since the day you and I started working together, I was seeing on average 1, 2, maybe 3 leads a day. Okay. So, if you multiply it out, it's between 15 and 20, 21 leads a week. Okay. That's acceptable when you start. I knew there was going to be a ramp up phase. And I never really kind of paused. I wasn't adding to my spend. I was still working through some aged leads that I had, that I had not resolved yet when you and I started working together. So I was still kind of working through those, working through the 15 to 20 leads per week that I was getting. And then you and I, did the videos, which I think it was about 3 weeks ago. And kind of like you mentioned, those first maybe 4 or 5 days, Facebook was still optimizing, and the lead flow was still a little bit higher than just the text ads, maybe 3 or 4 leads a day, from like 2 or 3 up to 3 or 4. And then right before Thanksgiving, so about a week ago, um, someone flipped the switch, and it went from 3 or 4 leads a day to 7 or 8 leads a day. And not only 7 or 8 leads a day, but a lot of these people are self-booking their own appointments into my calendar. Like, those videos really were kind of drawing them in,
Yeah.
and really kind of striking a nerve and hitting the emotional side of that decision making process, which is what helps us, right? It helps us help them.
100%. And yeah, I gotta say too, because like with the local leads, typically, because if we're running like for example, your campaign is 25 miles around Akron, Ohio, and nobody try to go steal Akron, Ohio from Dan. Dan owns Akron. He's actually there,
Right.
Akron, Ohio, but you can pick any other city, but not Akron. We won't
Right.
even set it up for you. Um,
Right.
but basically, like the cost per lead to what you were spending the entire time was relatively, reasonable. We were
Mhm.
seeing like for $25 a day, it would be like 2 leads, so
Mhm.
12.50 a lead. What you
Mhm.
pay for a vendor is like $30. But when we turned the corner, the spend didn't even go up that much. It was, I know when we were getting, it was like $50 a day we were getting like maybe 4 leads. And then all of a sudden one day it just started going down to 7, $8 a
Mhm.
lead. And I think that's when the videos really optimized. And it was exciting for me to see, because I know we were trying to ramp that lead spend up. Facebook's been giving us a hard time with the spend limits and everything recently. But once we were able to get that sorted out,
Yeah.
we really just kind of turned a corner there. But so walk me through. So I know the leads started going up. You got a bunch of auto booked appointments.
Mhm.
This week is when you ran the auto books, right? I'm assuming you weren't running Thanksgiving or over the weekend.
No, well, I had a couple on Friday, and I don't want to make it sound like nobody was self-booking up until that point. I was getting about 10% were booking their own appointments the first several weeks. And then since, like I said, about within the last week, it's really, I mean, it's probably tripled that now. Probably 25-30% are booking their own appointments. So, it's always exciting for me, maybe as the newbie, when people book their own appointments, because for the 3 years I've been in the business, getting appointments booked has been a challenge. Quite honestly, I hate the phone. I started off on it. I was okay at it, but I hated it. So I outsourced it. And it's always been a challenge to get appointments. So I've kind of by necessity gotten pretty good at door knocking because I was forced to do a lot of it. So it's really exciting for me when these leads book their own appointments in my calendar. Really, I like that. Number one, it means less door knocking, but number two, the intent is just much significantly higher there.
Right.
So yeah, I had two appointments, I want to say, on Friday, the day after Thanksgiving. One of them was a self-booked appointment, made the sale. And then yesterday I had 3 self-booked appointments, sold 6 policies. And then today had 4 self-booked, 3 were home, and I wrote 2 policies. So just within the last 2.5, 3 days of working, it's been over 6,300 in AP just from self-booked appointments.
You said in the last 2 or 3 days of working?
The last 2.5 days. Yep.
Is $6,300 in premium.
Yep.
How much
Yep.
would that be in lead spend this past week?
It would be since Thanksgiving Day.
So you said Thanksgiving to today.
Yep. What, 350?
350.
Yep.
So $6,300 from $350.
Yeah, and honestly, the numbers that you just said are actually fairly accurate, because normally there would be like a leads and a lags time frame in there. But since these folks have been self-booking, and I only open up my calendar normally 3 or 4 working days out, that spend that you just said of $350, because I'm capped at $50 still right now, and the 6,300 of AP, that's really based off that $350 spend, because those folks filled out the ad and booked their own appointment, and I went to see them within 3 days. So that return on investment is really accurate.
That's insane.
Yeah.
And I know you were telling me something about how high intent not only the leads were, but the appointments. You had said something when we were on a call earlier about whenever you walked in, something happened. What was that something?
It feels more like I'm walking them through the process than making a sale, right? And maybe honestly, I think that's probably part of my secret to success, is that I don't really ever sell. I educate people. I show them the situation that they're in and how it could be better. And I know there's folks that get really good at rebuttals and answering all these excuses. And to me, my goal is always to kind of nip the excuses in the butt during the presentation by educating them. And I know what the excuses are that I would normally hear at the end of the presentation. And so I just incorporate portions of the presentation to kind of deal with those reasons that folks were giving me at the end. So it really felt like with these folks that book their own appointments, like they know what I'm walking in for. It isn't, hey, I didn't realize what I was filling out. Everybody realizes what they filled out. And it's really more of, hey, this is the person that I want to help out when that time comes. And this is about what I'm comfortable with each month. And I just walk them through the process. I go through the underwriting, because there's still some work to be done. You got to figure out the right carrier for them and all that. But I think that's what has me most excited. And when I see these leads come through that book their own appointments, is that's what I like. I like to help people. I like to walk them through the process. I don't ever want to walk out of there feeling like I just had to sell them on it, right?
You can feel icky sometimes if you feel like you somebody's arm.
Yeah, and you never know how long those policies are going to stay on the books, right? When you walk them through the process and you leave there and they tell you they feel really good about what they just did, and that's why I'm in this business.
Yeah, absolutely. And so let's see. I'm honestly excited to see where we go from here. I'm gonna pull up my calculator right here on my computer. I want to see what 6,300 divided by 350 is. So right now you're at an 18-to-1 return on ad spend.
Yeah. And again, this business, we all know this business has highs and lows. The last few days have been a high for sure. Next 2 or 3 days could bottom out, and I could make no, so I've been in the business long enough to know, and those highs and the peaks and valleys don't bother me anymore. I know that's just part of this. But yeah, it's super exciting just because of the timing of the high. maybe
Yeah.
it's not a high, maybe this becomes the new norm as people like the videos, the video ads, and they book their own appointments. I mean, maybe this does become the new norm. I'm not gonna bank on it yet, but
Right.
it's been a fun ride.
Yeah. And with the whole videos, I mean, we're all just kind of like, we're discovering new land as we go. Like
Hmm.
with the new norm may be that for local leads. I don't know. I mean,
Hmm.
I've kind of set expectations at like 15, 17, sometimes $12.
Hmm.
But, 7 to 8 for local leads. I mean, that's ridiculous. But we're seeing what's possible with these videos for life insurance, and I'm excited to see what happens when we test some of those like the fun hooks.
Yeah.
It,
Yeah.
you know what
Right.
I'm talking. We talked about it
Right.
earlier. But
Yep.
yeah, I mean, Dan, you've been a pleasure to work with. I've been really happy to see you implement what we've given you, because a lot of people they'll get something and then they won't work it.
Hmm.
There's never been a question of whether or not you're going to go out and work the lead. So it
Hmm.
helps us get good feedback on what's working with our system and
Hmm.
what's not, because we can, like, if leads come into your pipeline, they're getting worked and we're finding out if they're working. So
Yeah.
that's been huge for us personally. But yeah, I just wanted to say thank you for
Yeah.
for allowing us to do that,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you
Well,
patient and everything through
well,
Facebook.
and I kind of want to say the same thing back because I'm a self-admitted idiot when it comes to some of this stuff, right? I told you from the beginning, I never even had Facebook until now. So, there's a lot that I just truly rely on you guys for, and your patience with a guy like me that doesn't have much knowledge of it. I want to be out knocking on knees, yeah, I want to be selling, and helping families, right? And so you guys have done an absolute awesome job at kind of helping me out on the marketing side. So I'd say the same thing back to you guys.
Awesome. Well,
Yep.
I gotta say, man, we appreciate having you as well. I'm excited to see where we go from here. Anything else you want to add in before we cut this video to an end?
No, I'm excited to see where we go as well. Off to an awesome start with these video ads, and I'm looking forward to getting a little more creative with you guys on them.
Let's do it. Awesome.
All
And
right.
real quick, guys, if you guys want to get a similar setup to what Dan got, I'll have a link down below this video. It'll be a link to John, our account success manager's calendar, and he can help walk you guys through the process of getting set up. Whenever you do, you'll get a video, you'll get a couple photo ads, and we're really excited to make some more case studies like Dan. We got Johnny, we got Dan. Who's going to be next? Will it be you, or will it be somebody else? We'll see you guys next video.
Take care.